Recording in progress.
Hello again. This is my second video, and this time we're going to look at a rook checkmates with a rook and king against a king. And I've decided to switch to chess.com because one thing I wanted to do is to show how you can play against the computer. You can set the position um, and try playing and seeing if you can replicate what I'm teaching. So this is chess.com, and you don't. I used to be a paid member, but you can. I'm accessing it now as a guest. So I'm going to go back to the home page, so I'll show you how. So this is what it looks like, and then to get to where we want, you're going to go to the Learn Analysis area, and then we're going to set up position. The first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to clear the position completely by clear board, hitting this garbage can on the right underneath the chess pieces. And then I'm going to, last time we had black win the game. This time we're going to let white win the game. We'll mix it up. And we're going to start with this position. And so if the same sort of idea will apply, that we want to, in white's move, we want to sort of limit black's options. Actually, in this position, you could actually go here, and that might even be quicker. So maybe instead of making it quite that easy, though, let's do it this way. So there's a little bit more work involved. But you're welcome when I show you how to set up the position and play against the computer. You're welcome to just try that other variation. So this is white's move. Black can't go this way anymore, at least at the present moment. So it's going to come forward. Now, if you get too far ahead with white, unlike the queen, the king could approach and just threaten it away. So rather than do that, let's see if I can go back. Actually, maybe I can't go back. Okay. I can just do that. Okay, I'm just gonna reset it. Okay, so it's black's move. Whoops, sorry about that. Let's get that king back on there. And okay, so this is my first move. We're gonna have black move forward. Now we want to get the king into the game. So now at this point, this is the rook can come into the center. So again, we're going to limit the king. If the king moves straight back, we can go straight toward it. If it goes to the side, we can move the rook and enclose it a little bit more. See, it might come back to there. We'll move the king closer. So you need to coordinate with the king through the whole process on this one. Let's say he goes there. We'll put the rook there. The king might go there. That might not have been the most efficient because I'm going to have to move the king for a second. But we'll still make the progress we need. The king maybe goes there. Maybe comes back up. And then now at this point we've got the king confined to the only those two squares. So now we bring our king in, and just like with the queen ending, if we can, the king blocks off the final escape square, and then so now when the rook leaves the that what we call the G file, the files are the ones that go bottom to top of the board. Then there's no escape for the king anymore. So actually, in the last video, I said that that the only piece that the king couldn't approach was the queen, but it's also, that was a mistake. It's actually true of the king as well. The king cannot approach can never put itself in danger. And actually, on that topic, I'm going to clear the board and show you how the king can approach other pieces. So the bishop, as long as it's not going to the diagonal, it can approach it from the front or from the side. If it's a knight, it can approach it either as a diagonal. I'm going to get rid of that bishop. You can approach it either as from a diagonal or straight on this way or from the side. So from any of these squares. And then let's get rid of that knight. And then the rook, it can approach it. Whoops. Let's get rid of that rook. It doesn't want to leave. Okay, let me clear the board. Get the king back and the rook on. So the king can approach it from a diagonal. It can't approach it from directly because that's the way that the rook moves. So yeah, it would have to be from a diagonal square. And then with the pawn, it just can't go into the diagonal that the pawn is attacking. Actually, I think it is from this direction because white is coming this way. So as I'm sure you know, the pawn threatens the diagonal positions, squares. So the white king could come from any of the other squares other than those two that I'm just showing now. So now let me show you how to set up this position and try it out for yourself. I'm just going to drag this rook over here. Just drag it with my mouse. Oh, whoops! Sorry, we need a king there. Okay, so now from this position, it's set to white to move, and now we can say load. So now it's actually in a playing mode. And now on the bottom right-hand corner are 3 dots, and it says practice versus computer. So at this point, this would be where you would see whether or not you can successfully checkmate the black king here. So like I said, my first move was from here to here, but you could try that and see what happens. So what's going to happen is the king is going to probably go toward the rook, and the rook's going to have to move before the king catches up. So let's just move it, I'm not sure, maybe about there, because it's going to head it back toward it. But we want to get your king. Yeah, so now your king will catch up in time to defend your rook. And then we're going to do the same idea. The king's going to come over. King's going to come over. Rook's going to come over. And now you have to be careful here. If you were to put your rook there, that's a stalemate. We talked about that last time. If you put your rook there, the king doesn't have a legal move, so it's a draw. Both players get a half point in that scenario. So we'll want to do this. Now this is an interesting scenario. If you remember in the last game, the king was 1 square slightly off what we're doing now, so it was in the corner, so the rook was able to checkmate. So we have to, in this scenario, probably the simplest thing to do would just be to pull the rook back, forcing the king in the corner. And now I don't actually need to move my king directly in front of the black king, because the escape square, the a7 square, is already secured by the white king. So this would be checkmate. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful, and I realized, it would be much better if I could show you how to set up the position after I gave the strategy, so that you could try it out on your own. So with that, we will end it right there.